This kind of blunder always occurs under the worst of circumstances. I become frightened and do dumb things, and the universe rewards me with kindness. This time, however, I was at home, which was rare for me. I had been unwell for a few days and had missed school on Friday. I was completely healed, but I chose to miss class nonetheless since it was the end of the week and the journey was just not worth it. My parents were both working late shifts, and my mother was caring for an elderly relative, so she had to sleep at her house. We have wooden slabs that close on the windows and doors for heavy weather, and they are also closed at night to prevent people from looking inside through the curtains, which were very transparent, especially at night when the only light source was inside the house. My parents used to open them throughout the day to naturally brighten the area, but I spent the day in my room like a goblin, so I never did. The only one I opened was the one my parents had left open for me to leave the home, which is a crucial fact. At different periods of the day, I began to observe a gray automobile parked across the street. They just parked, remained for a bit, and then drove away. I assumed it had to be some of the neighbors' guests, since they had room for additional vehicles, and occasionally their friends would park near the bus stop. I was chopping tomatoes for a sandwich when I heard several banging on the glass door. I instantly turned around to see where the noise was coming from and saw a guy slamming himself against the door with his whole body weight. I'll tell you what, this door was not designed to contain any type of stress. As frail as it may seem, it was a full painted glass. It's been shattered by accident during parties, and looking at the wobbling nails, I was certain it wouldn't have survived after 2 bangs. My mind had reverted to caveman mode at this time, so I opted to open the door with a flip pin table knife in my hand. The guy collapsed at my feet, wielding a circular table knife, and I composed myself with the most efficient expression I could muster. I didn't say anything. I simply gazed at him as he stood up and backed away. He then proceeded to concoct the most convoluted explanation I've ever heard. He said something like, "Oh, I didn't realize you were home," and then asked me a question. If my parents were home because he sharpens knives, it would be okay since that is how it works here. People go down the street and stop at the homes for different services. He promptly glanced at my hand and said that we didn't need anything sharpened and that he had made a mistake. I then saw a lady coming around the corner, ready to enter the home, before she noticed me. With his eyes wide open, the guy turned around and shook his head. She backed up, and they dashed out to a vehicle, which sadly did not have the plates. I then locked the door, closed the wooden slabs, and ate my unfinished lunch with shaking hands.